All right, it's that day. I am so excited that I am sitting here walking around my yard with a selfie stick. That is how excited I am. Now, what has got me so excited today? Well, it's been like 3 weeks. I have been teasing you guys with this prototype knife. And you guys have been just on the edge of your seat. I know you have. Don't lie. I think Mark Rogers threatened me with death at one point. I don't know, maybe. But I get to show it to you. Today I get to show you the prototype knife. The knife that I have fallen in love with. Okay? Now let me explain how deep in love I am with this knife. I would get rid of all of my other knives, including the ones that I personally made, designed, and all that fun crap. Because this knife, it brought back joy in my life when it comes to knives, because it is not the same old knife. It is something new, and I discover something new with it every day. I've been using this knife for like 3 weeks now, and I have used it on, mainly with farm use and everything, and I've whittled and played around with it a little bit, and like I said, I fall more and more in love with it. So told you all along that it's different. So right away, don't think of this as a woods knife. This is not a woods knife. Don't think of this as a combat knife. You know what I want you to do? Remember back in the day when you dreamed of the one tool option, and every time someone came along claiming to have found it or had it, you were always disappointed? This is by far the closest thing that I personally have ever found to that, because this is the most versatile knife I have ever used. That doesn't look like a woodcraft knife. No, it doesn't. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the movie 300 and the Spartans. I swear to God, like I told people in my Facebook group, I want to fight a shark with this bad boy. This thing is absolutely amazing. Now, before I go on any further about this knife, I want to show you guys my actual opening video. All right, my man, William, I got it in, and I'm excited. I got it last night, and I wanted to open it so bad, but I had to go to my daughter's, a meeting for my daughter for an upcoming karate tournament, and so I wasn't able to do it. So all night last night, all I was thinking about was this package and wanting to open it. So here I am. Is what I've decided to do with this is I want to probably use it more along the farm, my normal everyday life type stuff, and I might throw in a few extra stuff as well. But enough gabbing, let's dig into this. The thing that always excites me about your knives is, out of everybody out there, it seems like you're the one that's always put in the most thought when it comes to handles and blade geometry and everything else. Seems like so many people are just wanting to reproduce the same old knife and then try to put a new handle on it and shine up that handle just a little bit more and call it their own. And that's the thing I've always respected with your work. So when I seen this one, I thought, that's something special. First thing I noticed is that beefier handle. That's going to be perfect, man. For me, especially because, I don't know if you remember, but a couple years ago, I almost cut this finger off, and that's my grip finger. So this half of my hand just doesn't really work that well anymore. It's my grip and my strength hand. So seeing that beefier handle, fits perfectly. And it locks my dumb pinky in. That pinky just does not work. And the fact that that pinky literally wraps in there, that's going to be nice. That's going to be nice. Man, this is just so different from what I've ever seen. Forward point right there for chopping. I can see that doing some major damage. Okay. William, I can tell you right out the gate that the feel of it does feel good. I like that beefier handle. It doesn't feel overweighted. You know, I mean, the handle is a little bit heavier, but obviously you've thinned down this blade and everything. Okay, yeah. Can't wait to get this thing to use. All right. Oh, I didn't even notice the, okay, well, looks like we're going to be doing a bow drill as well. See how that works. Is that? Perfect. We put it in the sheath, still do that bow drill. Sweet. Good stuff, buddy. I'm going to look forward to playing around with this knife for sure. Now, something everyone needs to remember right away is the knife that I've been using for the past 3 weeks, like I said, is a prototype. Okay, there has been multiple people testing this knife out and giving William feedback. And the one and only William Collins created this bad boy right here. That's it. That's what she looks like. Now this one is what I'm going to do is I am going to create a one-of-a-kind sheath for this knife, and me and William are going to raffle it off. I'm not going to talk anymore about this knife. I haven't been using that knife for the past three weeks. I've been using this knife. This is the knife that I'm going to talk to you guys about. And the reason I'm going to talk about this knife is because I fell in love with the prototype. Now, if I fell in love with the prototype and there's been multiple people giving William feedback, and he has changed very slightly, there's just slight differences. But it's what I'm getting at is if I have fallen in love with this, I know I don't need to pick this up and start slamming it around or anything like that and cutting things open. I know I'm going to love this one equally. One of the things that absolutely blow my mind is, and in fact, one of the reasons why I started to steer clear of larger knives was when you're using them a lot, you know, whether it's whittling or whatever, they just, you suffer a lot of hand fatigue. You know, your hand cramps. And one of the things that I noticed right away, I mean right away, when I was using that knife is, you know, for the first time, is that I was not experiencing all of the hand fatigue or cramping. It did not feel like a large knife. It feels and felt then and feels like a small knife. It's very crazy. And William actually has a video where it shows him using it and all the different functionality aspects of this knife that I didn't even think of. And there's a way to even use the knife to where it even makes it even more of a smaller knife. Now, I don't know if I personally would do it. I'm going to try it and experiment with it and see, you know, kind of what happens, this thing and that. But that is literally the very first thing that I noticed about this knife. Now, one of the other things that I joke around about with this knife is, you know, when I talk about wanting to fight a shark, this thing and that, is I do believe that defense is very important when it comes to a knife. And this one definitely covers it. It definitely does. And it's particularly important for where I'm at because, you know, my property, it's right next to an old abandoned amusement park. And I mean, you get some real strange individuals that come in here. In fact, that building right there, just, I don't know, 2 months ago, me and the caretaker of this property had to hold 2 people at gunpoint over there. So I do believe that defense, a good defensive blade, is important. And let me tell you, this knife, the way your hand locks in, this knife delivers with just, I can assure you, you're just not going to want to, you're not going to slip off very easy. You know, yes, there should be a guard if this was a combat only knife. But I understand that when you're trying to design a knife that has multiple functions, well, sometimes you got to leave certain things off. But look at that Tonto point. Could you just, good Lord, this thing is dangerous. So I'm on the hunt for beaver chew sticks. And it's funny because one of the things that made me fall in love with this knife is when I went and I got a beaver chew stick and I started whittling on it. And I started discovering how much fun this knife was because I didn't know how to use this particular knife. And there are multiple ways of using it that, you know, I mean, you're just constantly rediscovering awesome and new ways to, like I said, just simply, I don't know, to simply just cut wood becomes fun again. You know, it was something that I had missed for a very long time, like I said, when it come to knives. This one just, it was fun. And then one of the very first things that blew me away is, you know, I always joke about my dumb pinky really not working very much. Well, it really doesn't. And so, as my dogs run by, I'm going to keep my point up here. Y'all move. But, you know, I don't do a lot of chopping anyway, but chopping now is a little bit more difficult because it's always wanting to slip. Knives are always wanting to slip. One of the things right away is I can take my dumb pinky and I can stick it right through there, you know, and then I can come back here on this knife and I can just really, you know, I can really do some damage. I'm not going to start swinging this thing around because my flipping dogs are walking around like a bunch of maniacs. But, I mean, you guys get the point. And then you'll notice that the first thing that comes into contact is that point right there. That thing just digs and digs deep. In fact, this has got one point here, one point there, and then your very tip of your point. So, I mean, you're looking at a knife. Basically, you're looking at 3 knives right there. Each point does different things, plain and simple. It really does. And then look at multiple bevels. You know, you got multiple bevels on this knife. It's crazy. Now, a word of caution. You know, I'm joking around with my dogs come around saying point up, blah blah blah. Everyone knows about knife safety. But this thing, it's a little bit like me approaching a chainsaw. There's just new aspects about this knife that when you're cutting, it's just different. It's got a different feel to it. It's a knife that if you make one mistake, it's going to bite you, and it's going to bite you hard. I mean, that plain and simple. So it's a knife that you're just going to be, use common sense. Definitely use common sense. And be in the moment. Be present with that knife when you're using it. I've just always had this fascination with, beavers, beaver dens, and, and I find it awesome that, the moment they strip the bark and then everything seasons up and everything, how hard the wood becomes. But the wood in my area that they prefer is cottonwood and willow, which is two prime sources for, when it comes to friction fire. Cottonwood is absolutely my personal favorite. And something that I've never done, but I've always wanted to do, is attempt to make a bow drill fire out of beaver chews. Because in my mind, it should work good. The bark stripped, wood seasoned, very dried out if you find the right piece. A lot of the work is already done in the way of a spindle. I was walking around, you can always find straighter pieces, that should theoretically work good as a spindle. The other thing that I love about beaver chews is they make great walking sticks. I'm looking over there and I see this really great walking stick. So I think that's what I'm going to do. This knife has a divot in it for a bow drill, and I've only attempted a bow drill fire with a knife handle, I think, once, and it was several years ago, and it felt a little clunky. But I know that William, in his video, he talks about, Mike, get your ass out of there before you get ate up by a beaver. But one of the things that he talked about was how he does his divot is it feels smooth and glides well. So I'm going to give it a test drive. Something else to always consider when the beaver chews and all that good stuff is that natural split that it's created, through time, exposure to the elements and everything. That beaver, by removing that bark, Mother Nature has done that. So splitting this thing, even if I didn't have a knife, it'd be a breeze. It really would. I'm just going to beaver chew this off with this knife right here. Take my time. That's the beautiful thing about this knife is there's going to be people out there that are going to get ultra aggressive and just beat the ever loving piss out of the logs and everything else. I'm not going to do that. I have fallen so in love with this knife that I just like to take my time and rediscover it. That's the thing that I've enjoyed the most about it. See that? Better angle you down just a little bit. There we go. Yeah. Just lightly tapping, and it just chews. You kind of want to get aggressive and just beat the crap out of it. That's the thing. You can. You just don't really need to. You don't really want to with this because I'm not suffering any arm fatigue. I'm kind of in awe with how easily it just kind of chops in there, really. It just, slides through there. Just slides through there. Let's see. I'm just gonna blunt this off just a little bit here. see how that point just comes into contact first? It's like it just becomes like this little miniature hatchet from hell. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. Just crazy. Reposition this camera. Tell you what, that point right there is just something else. I mean, just something else. And there's been so many knives that I want to flatten off like that, but they just don't work. And you're forced to carve, and sometimes, man, that causes arm fatigue and everything else. And even with this one, you know, when I was earlier experimenting and everything else, carving smaller sticks, you just don't suffer that fatigue. But man, this point is just so, God, love it. Yep. Miniature hatchet from hell right there. Right there. You can put in as much effort as you want. It just makes it so easy. It just makes it effortless. Yeah, I'd say that squared it off pretty good. Pretty easy. As I'm sitting here getting ready to look at this piece, doing a spindle with it, the thing that I do really enjoy about that point is I want to knock this off right here, and I can just really slow down and know that I can just gently touch this thing. I don't have to raise my blade up above my fingers and then risk chopping my fingers, you know. I can just keep it down here below my fingers and work on that slowly and safely, and know that it's knocking it off and doing exactly what I want it to do. Just like so. And this is where you're going to have fun with this knife, is when it comes to carving simple things. You know, you discover that you can do it so many different ways and techniques, and all of them are pretty simple to do, and you have multiple choices. It's really strange to describe. When I say that this knife makes you rediscover the knife, I'm not exaggerating. It really does make you rediscover the knife. Yeah, that's good and soft. That's good seasoned wood. I don't know, I just don't think I'm going to have much of a problem doing it with that wood. And Jesus, that Tonto is quite nice. Boy. That Tonto point for that is, oh, buddy. Wicked, wicked. That's what that is. On. All right, so let's see if we can get this thing burnt in right quick. And it's important that the sheath exposes that divot, because we want this thing obviously sheathed for safety reasons. This is one of the sheaves that I know that William is going to personally offer. It's a Kydex leather hybrid. These things are actually quite nice. You know, I've been making these things for a long time, and you know, he's been making them for his knives for a long time. And you know, this one I've been wearing for 3 weeks now, and I like it. I really do. So let's see if this is going to be wonky or how it's going to feel. Grab my bow right quick. Load her up. Stretch my string. You guys can, I should probably raise that up just a little bit. Video is not on friction fire, the video is on seeing how well the handle divot works. my. That is, that's extremely steady is what that is. And I easily and just effortlessly burnt that thing in. That was quite nice is what that was, plain and simple. Didn't really do much to my tip here, didn't wear it down. You can see that yeah, loved it. Let's knock this bad boy out right quick, shall we? I'm just gonna rock it first, and then I might try to tap it and see. See, that's the thing, it's fun because I haven't yet to do a bow drill with this knife, so I get to discover things as I go. Ooh, that kind of worked nice. Yeah, really getting it back in there and getting a good rock in motion really made it dig in nice. That was a lot easier there. But obviously, if we want to speed it up, really like this area back here too. That's a really nice little sweet spot there. I'd love to try, that the latest knife, you know what I mean? Not going to bore you with the rest of this notch, but you can see what I'm doing. Just kind of notch all the way in just a little bit more. And, I like this spot. I just really do. I'm not having to work hard. Again, I'm just kind of taking my sweet time exploring this knife, and I am thoroughly enjoying that. It just made it, as I was sitting there talking and rambling, I finished what I was gonna do. Holy crap. I really say it. That just made that so easy. state has a current burn ban right now, but if I was going to actually attempt to make a fire with some shavings and stuff, I'm just kind of playing around right now and kind of seeing how this knife feels. Not right there, the pain in the ass is what it is. I'm not going for feather sticks or anything like that right now. I'm just kind of playing with the knife. And as I'm playing with it, I'm discovering different angles in which if I was going for a feather stick, then I could get some curls if need be. But right now I'm just enjoying just getting some shavings off of this thing. It glides through this wood. I mean, I understand this is cottonwood. That's a softer wood. But it just glides through it. I mean, just absolutely glides through it like mad. So many different ways that a person could approach feathers or shavings of any sort with this knife. There's so many different ways. Alright, enough of that. I'll just throw that aside so I don't even have the inkling to want to do that, because like I said, we are currently under a fire ban. Let's get her loaded up, see what she'll do. Get in there. Boy, that was, oh, is it going to go out? Yeah, I think it actually just went out. I was wrong. This is not a piece of cottonwood. Stringing up like willow. Willow kind of strings up in these little fibers. And it has a tendency to want to do that, where it just smolder, 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 and then all of a sudden die out. Oh, what the hell? Let's give it another run, shall we?
Let's do this again. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's not about my ability to make a friction fire, but rather how easy that handle works as a bearing block. And I got to tell you, so far, it has been very, very smooth. Very smooth. All right, let's do it. Now, whether this stays going is irrelevant, because what I can tell you is that's actually quite smooth. I think it just now. Nope, come on, baby. Yep, just went out. That's that willow. Let me zoom in so you can see the strings. See how stringy it looks right there? It's one of the reasons why I do not like willow for friction fire. It has that illusion that you're gonna get an ember, gonna get an ember, gonna get an ember, and then poof, you know, I've said it before. I've said it in my Facebook group. I've said it to William himself. And I'm gonna say it again. I do truly believe that is going to be Knife of the Year. I think once people get past the looks, well, I tell you what, the more you use the knife, the more the looks grow on you, because I want to reach down there, I want to pick it up, and I just want to start stabbing things. That thing's glorious. But once people realize, oh, it's not a woodcraft knife, or, oh no, it's not a Bowie. You know, I mean, once you get past that, pick this thing up and start using it, you're going to fall in love with it. Something else I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to try to copy it until they start trying to mess with the multiple bevels and everything else. And then I think they're going to, you know, leave it alone. As a closing note, I want to say this. The very last knife that has truly got me excited was the JX2. That was the last time that I had handled a knife, and I truly thought, man, this is something special. That was several years ago, and since then I have not picked up a knife and been inspired by that knife in the least. And doing what I do, as you guys can imagine, there's a lot of different knives, all shapes, sizes, that pass through my shop, and I handle them. And there's a reason I'm doing this video today. It's not because I'm getting anything for it. It's because I believe in that knife right there. There's knives out there that have this beautiful mirror polish, handles that are made of the tusks from endangered, exotic, just fantasy animals. There's nothing flashy about this knife. When you pick it up, it's a lot like picking up a pipe wrench. It's a tool. It's a man's tool, and you're not afraid to use it. You're not picking it up to look at it and admire, hanging on the wall, afraid to use it. You instantly want to use it, and not only do you instantly want to use it, you just want to play with it more and more and more.
I don't see me putting this knife down anytime soon. I just don't. Plain and simple. That, ladies and gentlemen, is something special. William, you've blown my mind with this knife. I love it to death. I am going to continue to give you guys feedback. I'm going to continue to give William feedback on this knife. But I haven't found anything negative about it yet. I just haven't. I love everything about it. Thank you very much for the opportunity to handle that knife.